my boy Jeremy. We're here to present you our NBA morning shoot around for Friday, March 8th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure and click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, MLB, and NFL videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily Fanduel and Draftkings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, what up, Jeremy? How you doing, bro?
Yo, what up?
Man, another day. Solid night last night. It was a 2-game slate, but I ended up, I think, 5th in a smaller $4 GPP. Came up I ended up put in, I think, about 120. Came out about 400. So, hey, not too bad of a night for sure.
Hey, man. On that 2-game slate, making money is take it and move on with. But I think that was the second worst slate of the season.
Really? Yeah. See, I literally usually I'm like glued to my phone and watching all the games and oh my God, what's going on? Yesterday was kind of like, oh, well, it's a 2-gamer. Let me just max in there. I maxed into the quarter and I did a max in of like I said, a little smaller $4 and I'm going to move on. And I came back later in the night when the games are done. Oh shit, I'm actually winning a couple $100.
Yeah.
So real quick before we jump into this video, a couple quick things. Hey, man, we got a lot of content coming up. We literally have about 8 content pieces just up for today. We got contests for MMA, golf articles up. We got about 5 NBA articles. We have an NHL article. Hey, we have a bunch of stuff going on with the website right now. So make sure that you check it out, dfscheatsheet.com. If you want to stay up to date with everything that we have going on, make sure and follow us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at DFS Cheat Sheet, at RotoBeast. Hey, man, we got everything, man. Stay up to date with us. Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. You ready?
Let's go.
All right, man. So, well, I'm already on this screen. I'm just going to start with this game. First game we're going to go with is going to be Washington going into Charlotte. We have a 234 over-under, and Charlotte's favored by 4.5 in this one.
Yeah, I mean, look. I think there's a couple guys you can roll out here. Bobby Portis, Thomas Satoransky, I mentioned him the other night. I thought he was in a good spot. A little bit of a price change on FanDuel. He's up to 6,200 from 58. I do like him again in this spot. Tomas, he's playing well, and like I said the other night, he's averaging you about 4.5x. So there's also upside there. So he does provide you with a solid floor. And he's a tournament play. He's a really good tournament play. He's on this slate, we were waiting on Ben Simmons news, but if Simmons is out, you're going to have to roll TJ McConnell. So we'll get to that, obviously. But I like Ariza as well. I mean, look, Ariza's playing really well. He's been playing really well and kind of under the radar ever since getting to Washington. He gets some more shot attempts. And then Jeff Green, I mentioned him the other day as well. The guy he has 7-8x upside at 4.5. He's in the starting lineup. I do like the pieces in Washington. This is kind of like the pieces I liked when I liked the Knicks the other night in Sacramento. So I do like these pieces, but I think all of these pieces are in tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. On the Hornets side of things, it's crazy because they're actually they're trying to make the playoffs. They're grinding day in and day out. We always talk about it. I'm gonna start with their best player, Kemba Walker. We always like him at home. This game has a very high implied total. A lot of points are projected to be scored. Should be an up and down game, back and forth. Like Kemba Walker, 9,000 I think is a very, very fair price tag. For Kemba Walker, so I'll start right there. After Kemba Walker, I'm gonna kind of go with his mate, Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller and Kemba Walker, they play very, very well together, very well together. So Cody Zeller's 5.7. I think it's a decent price tag for him. For value, we're gonna need about 28. Definitely think he can get us 28. Kemba Walker, Cody Zeller, like that pick and roll combination. That's where I'm gonna start. Outside of that, 2 other guys I'll definitely consider. You got Nicholas Batum, 6,300. He's kind of coming back into form, doing the Nicholas Batum things that we know of the past, filling up the stat sheet, playing defense, playing a ton of minutes, doing the little dirty work. I like Nicholas Batum. Strictly GPP though. 2 other guys I'll mention, both of these guys as well, strictly GPP. Jeremy Lamb, 6.6. He's coming off the bench. compared to he was starting earlier in the year. I actually like him coming off the bench. He's still getting right around 30 minutes a game. And now when he's coming off the bench, he's going to get second unit players, not starters, still shooting the ball well, scoring the ball, giving them some punch off the bench. Him and Tony Parker as well, coming off the bench, playing decent. 3.6, you could consider Tony Parker as your job spot play. I mean, 2 games in a row. Yes, the minutes haven't been there. He's only playing 18 and 13, but he still got you 23 and 21 fantasy points. And, occasionally they'll give him extra run. So I think Tony Parker is in play at 3,600 along with Lamb off of the bench. But that's really where I'm at with Charlotte.
Let's move on.
Next game we're going with is the Dallas Mavericks going into Orlando to face the Magic. This game has a 214.5 over-under, and Orlando's favored by 7 in this one.
Look, you have to roll out Doncic in this spot. He's a mismatch across the board. Playing point guard for these guys, you have to roll. I just feel like he's almost a must-play in this spot. Doncic is playing for one thing here, and he's playing for Rookie of the Year. I think that's very clear. We've mentioned it many times that this guy has said many times that it would mean something to him. It really means something to him to be Rookie of the Year. I think that's what the only thing these guys got to play for, right? On the other side of this, Orlando is trying to cling on to a playoff spot, and they're in that hunt with Charlotte and Miami, and they're all kind of tied right together. So a meaningful game for Orlando. I look for Doncic to try to bring it tonight. Dwight Powell's price, I don't know. I mean, he's now a tournament play. I don't know if you can go cash here at 7.4. I mean, when he was 5'8", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", he got up to 6'8". Okay, but now we're talking about in tournaments, the upside is there. In cash, you need this guy to get you just about 39 fantasy points, which he can do, but man, that's not a give me price tag at all. Jalen Brunson playing shooting guard, listed as a point guard. I don't have any problem with tournament exposure to him, and I'll say the same thing about Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, the guy's going to get some run. It's we're at the last tail end here of his career. He's going to get some run. This is not a bad spot at 3.8 to play him as a drop spot.
Yeah, man. On the Magic side of things, I mean, all year we've been playing centers against Magic. I'm going to go right back to the well. Vucevic, 10,000, very, very fair price tag for Vuce. Orlando's another one of those teams. They're trying to push and make the playoffs, just like Charlotte, and they're playing their guys a bunch of minutes. I mean, I really think I think all 5 of their starters are in play. I mean, honestly, they're pretty much all GPP plays just because they're all inconsistent, but all of them are in play, including Jonathan Isaac, DJ Augustine. I like all 5 starters for the Magic. They're all very fair price tag. Even Vooch, like I said, at 10,000, very good price tag. Outside of the 5 starters, they're playing their starters a lot of minutes. Outside of that, the only other guy I would consider, Terrence Ross coming off the bench. We know this guy has massive upside. He just hasn't been necessarily shooting the ball well, and it's brought his price down. So for me, on the Magic side of things, I like all 5 of the starters, and I like Ross coming off the bench. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence Ross is too cheap, man. 5,000 is really cheap.
Sure. That's why I had to mention him, at least mention him, even though he's shooting the ball. He's not shooting well, but, hey, it just takes one hot night to absolutely go off.
Yep.
Moving on, next game we're going to go with is going to be the Utah Jazz going into Memphis to face the Grizzlies. This game has a 209.5 over under, and Utah's favored by 4.5 in this one.
56 fantasy points last time these two teams played for Andre Drummond, a $10,000 price tag. I've talked about this guy all year, and I'll keep saying the guy's a double-double machine, and he seems to always be off the radar. He's not on anybody's radar any given night. He never garnishes chalk ownership. I think Andre Drummond is a phenomenal play in this spot. Detroit is one of the hottest teams in the East. Right now, I believe they're the 6th seed. There's a dogfight that's going to happen between the Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, and now Detroit has put themselves in the mix. You have to get up to that 3 seed to have home court advantage throughout the playoffs, or the opportunity to. You have to get the 4 seed in order to get a home playoff series. Look, Detroit's hot. They are. They've got Drummond and Blake Griffin. Reggie Jackson's playing extremely well. I think that the price tag for both Drummond and Griffin and Reggie Jackson is extremely fair. Bruce Brown makes a great drop spot on a 9-game slate with upside. You could also look at Luke Kennard. Outside of that, that's where I'm at. But I think these guys are in play tonight. I even think Andre Drummond is safe in cash. We've attacked the Bulls all year long with centers. He's coming off a monster game against them the last time they played with 56. That's cash value right there with the ability and upside to get you 60, which would be tournament value. So I love Drummond in this spot. I think he's a low-owned play tonight. I just don't see people on Drummond.
Yeah, no, I definitely. Hey, it goes back to, we're so late in the season now. I mean, we have rules, and one of the rules is we've been attacking Bulls with big men all year for sure. So I think that's a really, really good call, bro. So on the Bulls side of things, I mean, I like some of the Bulls. I definitely do. I'm not into Robin Lopez. I understand he's been playing very well. I'm just not into Robin Lopez going against Andre Drummond. But after looking past Robin Lopez, I think all four of the starters are in play. Markkanen's been playing very well. Zach LaVine's been playing very well. Otto Porter as well. They're playing a ton of minutes. Chris Dunn, he's just too cheap. I understand Chris Dunn hasn't had a monster game lately, but at a 5.8 price tag, we need about 27, 28 for value. And look, the guy hasn't been killing us. He's playing right around 30 minutes, 26, 25, 29, 24. Okay, yes, nothing special, I understand. But we know that Chris Dunn has 40 fantasy point upside, and he's bound to get hot, go off for a 20 real-life scoring game, and he does everything in the other stats. So I like Chris Dunn. I think he's a good GPP play. I'm not really worried about Reggie Jackson defense. So GPP-wise, I like Chris Dunn. I think he's a really, really good play. Going to be low-owned. So all four of the Bull starters outside of Lopez are in play for me. Looking on the bench, I don't really know what I want to do with the Chicago Bulls. Bench players, they're all kind of just splitting a little bit of minutes here and there. The starters are really just getting the run for me.
Hey, one other thing I want to mention is Bruce Brown and Wayne Ellington are listed as shooting guards. I'm not sure how many people realize Wayne Ellington is a starter for the Detroit Pistons right now, but he's playing 25 minutes. I overlooked that when I was talking about everybody else. He's a really good value play. I wouldn't even call him a drop spot play today because he's 3.9 playing 25 minutes. He's starting. It's a really good salary saver.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on, next game we're going to go with is going to be the Utah Jazz going into Memphis to face the Grizzlies. This game has a 209.5 over under, and Utah's favored by 4.5.
So Nato, Exum, Rubio, game time decisions, right? So we've got to get the confirmation on them out or in. But we know this spot, and here comes a chalky play with Royce O'Neal at 3.5. I mean, if those guys are going to be out, we know that there's two guys that absolutely benefit in this spot. Joe Ingles will get a ton of usage, and he'll take a ton of shots in the spot. We just saw this when they played Denver without Rubio, without Nato, without Exum, and Joe Ingles had a monster game. So Joe Ingles is where you look. Royce O'Neal is going to be the chalkiest drop spot play on the slate if, in fact, those guys are ruled out before lock. Rudy Gobert at 9.8. I don't mind. I'm going to tell you again, I don't mind this price on Rudy Gobert in tournaments. And Donovan Mitchell, look, it's a tournament play with Mitchell. It's going to continue to be a tournament play. For me, my reasoning is the guy is, I mentioned it before, he's allowing himself to be coached up. There's plenty of times where he'll make a mistake. They'll yank him out and then reinsert him. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but you're talking about, we take him out, there's a minute, we talk to him, there's a minute, and then it's a minute's hit is what it's taking, as well as usage. So I think it's very simple. You look at Jay Crowder, you look at Royce O'Neal, you look at Joe Ingles, Gobert, Favors, Mitchell, all in play, but tournaments only. Ingles and O'Neal will garner cash game considerations today.
Yeah, on the Grizzlies side of things, I mean, we're waiting on a couple of things, but it's really Justin Holiday, Avery Bradley. If one of those guys are out, this is big news, because if one of those guys are out and my boy DeLon Wright is going to get a start or Tyler Dorsey is going to get a start, Tyler Dorsey at bare minimum price tag, if he's going to jump into that start lineup, he's probably going to be a drop spot play that's going to be very chalky. You mentioned it as well. Royce O'Neal will be chalky as well. So there's going to be some value that's going to come from this game. DeLon Wright, 5,800. He's not a value play anymore. I mean, he's a mid-tier play. But this guy, when he gets minutes, when he gets the spot starts, he plays very well. So if we hear that, Wright is going to get in the start lineup at shooting guard because Holiday or Bradley's out, then you can look at him. He definitely will be in play even at a 5,800 price tag. So these are really the big news that I'm waiting on, and Justin Holiday, Avery Bradley. Outside of them, You could look at a Mike Conley, 8,400. I think he is a decent play. Valanciunas has been playing very, very well, but this is a bad matchup. Going against Gobert, going against Favors, two really solid big men that play good defense. I'm not really on Valanciunas. Noah coming off the bench, if he's going to be opposite of Gobert and not really get too much of Gobert, then I think that he's probably in a little bit better spot than Valanciunas. So I think that, if it was me, I probably would lean a little bit more towards Noah, and he's $2,000 less. Been playing well. He's getting a bunch of run off of the bench, while Jaren Jackson continues to be out. So, man, I don't know what I want to do with Grizzlies. I don't really like, facing the Jazz. For me, it's really just Mike Conley. You could look at Noah, possibly Rab if he finds his way somehow into that starting lineup based on news. But really, I'm just waiting to see what happens with Holiday and Bradley before I can make a little bit more of a judgment on the Grizzly players.
Cool.
Next game we're going with, it's going to be the Toronto Raptors going into New Orleans to face the Pelicans. This game has a 232 over/under, and Toronto's favored by 7 in this one.
I mean, look, across the board from a DVP standpoint, you've got Ibaka, you've got Kyle Lowry, you can pretty much plug all these guys in. New Orleans is terrible defensively. I'm going to go right to a spot that I always say. Power forwards and centers thrive against these guys. Serge Ibaka at 5.5 coming off a monster game. We'll have to wait and see, though, because they are playing Marc Gasol against true big men, and they're playing Ibaka against more athletic guys. So we'll have to see if Ibaka projected holds up. But if he does start at 5.5, I think you can get behind this all day long. New Orleans gives up points to this spot. Kawhi Leonard, this is going to be for me, I think Kawhi Leonard's a fade today, just for the simple fact that I don't know if the minutes will be there. They've showed they're going to rest him every chance they get. They're going to rest him on back-to-backs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can't see if this game blows out that Kawhi Leonard would get a ton of run late in the game. And this game could very well blow out. I just don't see how Vegas has this as a 7-point spread. This is a hell of a lot closer than I would have anticipated the spread being in this one. But look, Danny Green, perimeter player, they give it up across the board. Pretty much all 5 guys are good. If you want to take a tournament chance with Jeremy Lin, I'm okay with that as well. But I do think that he would be a pivot off TJ McConnell if Ben Simmons doesn't play. Ben Simmons did not participate in the shoot-around today, so like I said, we have to wait and see what happens there.
Yeah, man, I absolutely agree with you on this one. I don't know how this game is only a 7-point spread. You got Anthony Davis going to play 20 minutes. We got Drew Holiday's going to be out for the near future. Man, that's the 2 main guys. Outside of that, who do they have? They have Randall and they have Payton. That's it. Randall, Payton are the only 2 guys that are really relevant. The only other guy I would even consider really is you could look at Kendrick Williams. His price tag is down a little bit. And the guys been playing well for the most part on the season. In that starting lineup, he's definitely been up and down recently, but the minutes have been there. That's what I really like about Kendrick Williams, and he's going to get some extra shots. Drew Holiday, etc. For me on the Pelicans, I'm just going to keep it short, keep it simple. I like Randall. I like Payton. Kendrick Williams, just mentioned him, the GPP play. Frank Jackson, if he's going to get a start at 3,700, he's possibly in play. Maybe we could find Darius Miller back in the rotation. When he was in the rotation earlier in the year, he was playing very well. He's back to a bare minimum price tag. Honestly, for me, it's really just a wait-and-see approach on the Pelicans. I got to see how the rotation is going to go with no Drew Holiday in the mix. The guy that's really jumping out to me more than anybody else is going to be Alfred Payton. Without Holiday, Payton's going to get a couple extra minutes on top of what he's already been playing at the point guard position. It's really just Payton, Randall are the 2 guys that I really like on the Pelicans.
Yeah, this is a crazy situation. I mean, you got limited Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday out for the near future. Okafor, we'll see what happens there. And then, Etuan Moore, he's out.
Yeah, he's out. So one thing I do want to say, is if Okafor does get ruled out again, I'm going to go right back to the Diallo out. 3,900, he's back under 4,000. He's almost basically right there in that putt spot range that we're looking for. And if it doesn't work out, he'll be the drop spot. So I do want to mention Diallo as well. He can get fantasy points in the bunches. Outside of that, I'm ready to move on, bro.
If you want one guy that I was not paying attention, sorry. So I'm going to mention one guy just because he's going to be off the board here. That's a drop spot play that could get some extended run tonight, and that's Stanley Johnson. We know what the guy is capable of. We know he's been in play before when he was with Detroit. He was traded, I believe, to Milwaukee. Milwaukee released him, and now he's with New Orleans. They have said he will play today. So Stanley Johnson at 3.5 will be off everybody's radar. They'll be on Royce O'Neal if in fact that Utah situation plays out like we thought. Stanley Johnson, a good pivot off Royce O'Neal as a drop spot for your small forward spot.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was actually looking at Stanley Johnson as well. I like him. I'm just gonna take one game to kind of see what kind of happens with the rotation without Drew Holiday. It's kind of where I'm at with it.
Right.
Moving on, next game we're going to go with is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Miami to face the Heat. This game has a 214.5 over under, and Miami's favored by 8 in this one.
I mean, I don't really know what to do here. Chetty's a guy that I'll continue to play in tournaments at 5.8. He's a scorer. This guy's a good player. I think he's an under the radar good player in the NBA. He's a solid player. Colin Sexton, 31 minutes at 5,000. I said the other night that I thought he was in play. He's kind of a 5X floor guy that can give you some salary relief. So in tournaments, I'm fine with them. I don't see any cash game plays here. I'm almost fine with Nance, Kevin Love, Colin Sexton, Brandon Knight. This is pretty stable. David Nwaba and Jordan Clarkson are all fine in tournaments for limited exposure. There's not one guy that I would tell you to go get a bunch of exposure to if you're building out a lot of lines, but I'm fine with any of those guys if you want to get some limited exposure in tournaments. I think they all have some upside in the spot. The only problem I have is it's a grind down game, and I personally don't see the need to go there with any of these guys tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And then we talk about it. Miami log jam. I mean, everybody's pretty much healthy right now. Everybody's pretty much in play. The only thing we're really waiting on is Goran Dragic. If Goran Dragic is in at 5,000, he's going to play around 25 minutes. You can look at Goran Dragic. If Goran Dragic is out, then you got to continue looking at a Josh Richardson. You got to continue looking at a Justice Winslow. Those are the two guys that get the biggest bumps with Dragic out. So we got to wait on that news. Outside of that, I mean, like I said, they're healthy everywhere else. They got a Deion Waiters, Derrick Jones, Magruder, Dwayne Wade. Those guys are all really splitting minutes. It's kind of a logjam at shooting guard and small forward. And it's the same thing in the big guy spot. Right now, they don't even have Whiteside starting. He's coming off the bench. They're continuing to ride Bam. Olynyk is going to be the big guy that I'll probably target the most just because it's looking like his minutes are being the most consistent minutes of anybody when it comes to the bigs. But those are not even the most consistent minutes either just because, they got the Bams, the Whitesides, the Olynyks, and James Johnson. So, I mean, with the Heat, it's really a stay away from me, man. I'm not really interested in these guys unless we get some news that some people are kind of ruled out. One thing that I will say, and we continue to talk about this, I'm going to continue looking at the Dwayne Wades, the Dirks, the Vince Carters. These guys are possibly on the last stretch of their career, and they're continuing to get solid minutes, So those guys, I feel their minutes are somewhat safe right now. These last, 20 games pretty much of the season. So, yeah, man, I mean, that's really where I'm at with the Heat. It kind of depends on what we hear about the Dragic news.
Moving on.
Next game we're going to go with is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers going into Houston to face the Rockets. Do you have the over and under on this game? I didn't bring it up. Sorry.
231, I believe it is, and Houston is favored by 8.5.
Okay, perfect. Get us going on the Philadelphia side of things, please.
Hey, man, so Ben Simmons, I've mentioned a couple times already, he's a game-time decision, did not participate in shoot-around. I believe he's dealing with an illness. This is very, very simple, very simple. If Ben Simmons is out, we already know Boban is out. We already know Joel Embiid is out. So that would probably propel Jonah Bolden back into the mix here. And TJ McConnell, they probably have a very short rotation because of the guys that are already out. Jonah Bolden, Mike Scott, James Ennis is getting run. There's a little narrative piece there if you want to look at that. And then, to me, period, point blank, end of story. If Ben Simmons is out, you lock Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris in and move on.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add one more thing. If Simmons is rolled out, you lock those guys in and you lock in TJ McConnell as well. TJ McConnell, Yeah, TJ McConnell.
I didn't mention McConnell because I've already mentioned him like 4 times.
Yeah, no problem. But he's a guy that I really like though for sure.
McConnell will be absolute chalk if Ben Simmons is out.
For sure, no doubt about it. On the Rockets side of things, Capella, 7,500 going against a 76ers team with not a real center. I love Capella in this spot. I absolutely love him. He's going to be my favorite play on the Rockets at a reduced price tag, like I said, going against a team at home that doesn't have a center. Like Capella a lot. Outside of that, we can move down a little bit. We got Chris Paul, 8,400, still a very fair price tag. We need 42 for value. He will be in play. James Harden, 12,000. We need 60 for value. He's going to get a matchup with Jimmy Butler, a pretty good defender. I don't know how much I really like James Harden in this spot. It's a tough matchup for him. Definitely he's going to be in play pretty much any slate he's on. He does have the upside. But as far as cash games going against Jimmy Butler, I'd rather go with Jimmy Butler if Simmons is out over Harden. Save the money, pay up elsewhere for some other people. Eric Gordon, 5,000 if he's going to be in that starting lineup. This is a guy that 5,000, you need 25 for value. He's a guy that's going to take almost 15 shots a game. He can get you value just on if he's making shots. And then you throw in the extra stats. I like Eric Gordon in this spot. If he's going to be matched up with J.J. Redick, his matchup is a lot better than James Harden would be if James Harden is matched up with Jimmy Butler. Like Eric Gordon at a 5,000 price tag. Outside of that, going on the bench. I'm not really into none of these bench players for the Rockets. Possibly a Gerald Green. He gets his minutes. But that's really it for me with the Rockets.
Just announced Amir Johnson will remain in the starting lineup.
Okay, for sure. Moving on, next game we're going to go with is going to be the Denver Nuggets going into Golden State to face the Warriors. This game has a 235 over-under, and Golden State's favored by 6.5.
Battle for first, right? It's a battle for first place. I don't look for the one thing that's very interesting to me, and I mentioned this to you maybe about a week and a half ago, right? When's the last time these two teams played? I have to look real quick. But the last time these two teams played, I mentioned something about Steph Curry and the pick and roll, right? And one thing that doesn't bode well here, so they played January 15th, right? One thing that I mentioned was the high pick and roll. And that seems to be what teams are doing to Steph Curry right now is they're putting him in pick and roll situation after pick and roll situation after pick and roll situation. He's failing, and he's not got it going on the offensive side of it either because he's struggling defensively. So that's one of the things that is hurting this Warriors team. I know they're talking about DeMarcus Cousins, et cetera, being the weak link that's caused this Warriors team to have so much dysfunction, but it's really the high pick and roll. I'm saying that because of the fact that how many times have I mentioned Jokic bringing centers out and not liking centers against Denver because Jokic pulls them away from the basket. I think that Jokic is going to have a really good game in this spot. I think his assist numbers will be high. You go right to Will Barton in this spot as well. 5.8 for Will Barton. The guy has killed the Warriors in his past. And Gary Harris, if he's going to play that amount of minutes, he's off the minutes restriction somewhat. He's played as many as 28 minutes. At 4.8, you have to love Gary Harris as well. I really think all 5 starters are in play, and I'll throw Mason Plumlee in the mix as well at 4.3 on FanDuel. It's too cheap.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I was trying to tell everybody just the other day, Gary Harris back in the starting lineup. He was too cheap. And sure enough, came out and had a good game, bro. Had a good game for sure. So moving on the Warriors side of things, we got to wait on the Klay Thompson news either way. I think all 5 starters are in play. They're all really good price tags. If Klay Thompson is out, then all the starters pretty much get a little bit of a boost because they're all going to get a couple extra shots, a couple extra, stats across the board. So I'm really waiting on the Klay Thompson news. Either way, you got to look at the big 5. Outside of the big 5, you could possibly look at Iguodala 4.5. I think Iguodala is a better play if Klay is out. So like I said, we're waiting on that news. Outside of that, man, it really with the Warriors, whenever you talk about them, it's just the starting 5. You could possibly throw in McKinney, still a bare minimum price tag, and he's a guy that gets consistent run off the bench. But that's it, man. So starters, McKinney, Iguodala, get a bump if Klay's out, and you kind of move on.
Cool.
Next game we're going to go with, final game of the night, is going to be the OKC Thunder on the second end of a back-to-back going into Los Angeles to face the Clippers. This game has a 237.5 over-under, and the Clippers are favored by 2.5 in this one.
Back-to-back situation here for the Thunder, having played last night on the worst slate we could have ever seen. So back-to-back situation, very close spread. I think some of the spread has to do with the fact that it's a back-to-back for Oklahoma City.
Oh, most definitely. Very,
very short travel, though. It's not like it was a big deal. You know, the 2-hour flight, you get into LA, you're sleeping all day. I don't think it's that big of a deal. So if there's anything that you could look for on a back-to-back, though, I think you could look at Dennis Schroeder maybe getting a couple of increased minutes. I'm fine with him at 5.7 off the bench in tournaments. I actually like him a lot. Jeremy Grant, it's a good spot for him as well. I will keep playing Jeremy Grant in tournaments as long as his price tag stays under the $6,400 mark. I'm going to avoid Adams here. He hasn't had monster games against the Clippers in the past. Not to say he can't have one tonight, but at 7.3, I would much rather pivot to Capella at 7.5 in cash games than Steven Adams. So tournaments, fine with a little bit of exposure. Look, I don't need to tell you to play Russell Westbrook and Paul George. You already know that by now, and they're fine, and I think they're fine in all formats tonight. It's a matter of how you want to construct your roster with the amount of value that's out there. So I'm not going to get cute and give you reasons why. You know at this point why.
Yeah, for sure. Man, Zubac 5.2. The price tag's up. I think he's a GPP play. I definitely still think Zubac is in play at a 5.2 price tag. Just not the best matchup against Adams. But yeah, I've actually been surprised, man. Adams has been getting some guys have been taking it to Adams a little bit. I don't know what's going. Maybe he's a little bit fatigued, maybe hurt, something. But hey, they've been getting on Adams a little bit for sure. So I think Zubac GPP play. You could start there. Man, on the Clippers, there's probably about 5 guys that I think are in play, but they're all GPP plays. I'm just gonna quickly. I'll go through them. In the starting lineup, Zubac, Alexander, Patrick Beverly, and Gallinari are in play GPP wise. I'm not really into Shamet. I'm gonna look at the other 4 starters as GPP plays. Coming off the bench, I mean, you can look at a guy like JaMychal Green. He's getting some run. Harrell 7.2. He's getting his minutes. And the last guy I'm going to mention is Lou Williams, 7,300. Lou Williams and Harrell coming off the bench. They're still both playing right around 30 minutes a game. So I like those guys going against the second unit of the Thunder. That's really it for me with the Clippers. It's Harrell, Green, Williams coming off the bench, and then you can look at the starters outside of Shamet. Did I miss anybody on the Clippers?
No.
Nope. Hey, that's it for you guys, man. 9 games wrapped up. Got in, got out. Kind of touched on what we like, kind of get you started with your day. If you need some more stuff, to kind of get you going outside of this video, like I said, we got about 5 NBA articles up on the site, PGA article. We got a MMA article, NHL article up. Hey, a lot of content. Check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. Take advantage of our MLB season-long pre-order special, $150. Get you all MLB season plus the rest of NBA. Yes, plus the rest of NBA. All access pass. Make sure you use promo code MLB50. Join the money team. Get started with us today. Outside of that, man, hey, good luck on your guys' contest tonight, and peace out.